So, speaking about the history of Unix and Linux, we can recall the well-known saying: we make our inventions stand on the shoulders of giants. But we must understand that many of those giants have failed. But such fails can be a good lesson for new developers. One of such giants was a Multics project. The development of Multics began at 1965 as a research project by MIT, General Electric, and Bell Labs to create a time-sharing, multi-processing, and multi-user interactive operating system. After several years of development, the enthusiasm of the developers decreased more and more as the system became more and more complex, and the prospects for completion of development became less and less. Bell Labs pulled out of the project in 1969, but some of the people who worked on it got a lot of experience. Among them were Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie of Bell Labs, the inventors of the Unix operating system. It's funny, but the history of Unix systems is closely related to computer games. It started in 1969 when Ken Thompson discovered an old PDP-7 computer in a dark corner of the lab and wanted to use it to play space travel game. There was little to do. An operating system had to be written to run it. And he did it. At midnight on January 1st, 1970, the Unix epoch began. From this time on, all clocks in Unix-like system count down the time, including your mobile phone. Originally, it was a single-tasking operating system written in assembly language. This was loaded from paper tapes and called UNIX. As opposite to the complexity of Multics. And then the team of Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie received a new Digital Equipment Corporation PDP-11 computer to develop a word processing system for the Bell Labs patent department. For the first 3 months, the machine sat in a corner, enumerating all the closed night stores on a 6 to 8 chessboard. Just became the hard drive wasn't shipped with a super new computer. This time could be used to choose a programming language, because it was a computer with a completely new architecture, and programs written on PDP-7 assembler was not useful for it. And most interesting was the concept of another project used in some research and development projects, including Multics. BCPL. It was a high-level programming language focused on portability. Most of this language was written in the language itself, and only a small machine-dependent part was written in assembly. To support a new machine, only 1/5 of the computer code needed to be rewritten which usually took from 2 to 5 man-months. Thomson used the same concept when writing his simplified successor to BCPL, language B. This language was not very expressive and effective on the PDP-11, and in 1971 Ritchie started to improve B, which resulted to create a new language, C. In 1973, the Unix kernel was refactored on C language to follow the same concept of portability. Most of the code was machine independent. The system was distributed in source code among the universities for nominal fee, which served as an explosive growth on its popularity in 80s. Almost all the developers of new computer systems since this period have used Unix as the base platform for their new developments. On one of the most famous of those is the Berkeley Software Distribution, BSD, developed at the University of California, Berkeley, based on Unix version 6 with its own copyleft license. One of the most famous of those is the Berkeley Software Distribution BSD, developed at the University of California, Berkeley, based on Unix version 6, with its own copyleft license. And most of the hardware vendors of the 80s used BSD as the base operating system for their new computers. Unix was not a significant part of AT&T Bell Laboratories business, and it was not a problem for them. But in the 80s, Bell Labs split into several companies as a result of an antitrust lawsuit against AT&T. The new Unix System Laboratories company was created, and the new Unix System 5 specification was developed. Unix was the main business of this company, and they were very aggressive in pushing the new standard in the market. And that has been the cause of Unix wars against non-commercial developers, including BSD. The commercialization of Unix system market and the move to a closed development and distribution model has led to an alternative movement, the GNU. What is a GNU? You know, it's such an African animal, but also it is a self-referential abbreviation. GNU is not Unix. Richard Stallman founded the project in 1978 at MIT. The GNU project is a mass collaborative initiative for the development of free software. The first goal of this project was to develop a set of programs similar to the standard set of utilities in Unix. And in 1991, a Finnish student, Linus Torvalds, created his own operating system kernel, which is compatible with a Unix operating system called Linux. As he said later, just for fun. The Linux kernel, combined with the set of utilities from the GNU project, served as the basis for creating a complete operating system, comparable in capabilities to commercial Unix systems, and usually even superior to them.